All right, everyone. Welcome to today's coffee chat. For anyone who's new here, I'm Vennessa McConkey. I'm a certified functional medicine nutritionist and your autoimmune and chronic disease consultant. I was actually diagnosed in 2007 with a rare adrenal disease called Addison's disease, which you're only diagnosed after 90% of your adrenals are damaged. Oh well, right? And that was in my early 20s after probably a little bit more than 6 years of trying to figure out why I was fainting, why I was incredibly thin, addicted to sugars, and why when I got sick, I was sick for weeks. It was like with a common cold, okay? I worked hard. I was trying to figure out like what kind of doctor to go to. As functional medicine doctors and naturopaths, they weren't really well known, and there was called the hippie and crazies out there back then. And when I was diagnosed, my natural doctor put me on about 30 milligrams of prednisone, which is a lot for a 110 pound 21-year-old girl. And after being on prednisone for a few years, which by the way is supposed to be short term, and many other supplements we tried, I actually decided I had it. So, because I was like, why would such a healthy person have this disease, right? Okay. So I just wanted to give you a little background there. But today we're going to be talking about eating for mental performance. Okay. It's really cool because we talk a lot about brain fog here, and for a reason. Okay. It's not something to take lightly, because when you have brain fog, there's typically a whole host of other things going on inside your body. But here's the cool thing is most of them you can fix yourself. We may not always want to change our lifestyle or our eating habits, but I'm telling you, it's so important, okay? And here's the cool thing too, is our brain, this crazy thing up here, is the most valuable entity on earth. And even better, you own one of them. We all do. That's the cool thing. And then the question becomes, what are you actually going to do with it? Okay, what are you going to do with this crazy thing up here? Okay, it's an amazing thing. All right, you may have heard things like, oh my gosh, no, we only use like 2% or 5% or 10 or whatever percentage of our brains. But that's actually not the case. It's been confirmed by neuroscientists that we actually use up to about 100% of our brains at various times throughout the day. Okay, so that myth of only using that small percentage came from this personal development literature, and it's not actual science. But here's the one thing that we all do agree on. Even though the majority of our brains are active every day, it doesn't mean that they're being used very well. Okay, in fact, there's actually a high probability that as you're watching this right now or listening to it, you aren't even focused. You could actually be more creative. You could problem solve more effectively, and you can become more laser focused than you really are right now. Okay. Now, since your brain actually controls your experience of life, it wouldn't be a stretch to say that creating a better life would actually start with creating a better brain. And I've been reading so many books lately on better brains: Limitless by Jim Quick, Eating Smarter by Sean Stevenson. And it's huge, but I don't know about you, but we can all play brain games. I love them. I love crosswords. I love, I can't even think of it. Here's my brain, right? The words, not the word searches, word searches, crossword puzzles. You can do all those little type of brain games and things like that. Read books. You can learn different techniques. You can, start a new hobby, whatever it may be, all of which I know, I love to do. You guys probably love to do, but what's typically overlooked is that all those changes you're able to make in your brain are absolutely, and I can't stress this enough, I've said this, I will say it till the day that I die, it's absolutely dependent on what we put in our mouths, what's at the end of our fork, right? I've got some seaweed here, right? I'm munching on seaweed, okay? Not because I absolutely love seaweed. I mean, it does taste good when you got a little salt and stuff on it, but, or it's wrapped in rice and as sushi, but I do it because I know my body needs it, okay? So it should taste good too. That's why I say spices are important, okay? But here's the thing, with all of the autoimmune conditions that I've had and health issues that I've had over the years, and I'm sure many of you had too, I've learned how incredibly fragile these things up here are. It's the most complicated object. Oh my gosh, one of the massive questions I want to ask God is seriously, the brain is so amazing. Did we even use half of it while we were here on Earth, right? But it's the most complicated object in the known universe and is so incredibly delicate, okay? Now, before we dive into eating for mental performance, okay, when I say the brain is fragile, your powerful brain is actually about the same consistency as soft butter. You know, the ones like left out on your counter. My grandma used to have like the big country crock thing left out on the stove, and it was like all like super soft to be able to slap on your toast, right? That's the consistency. I know it sounds weird and gross all at the same time. It's also made of 80% water. So after your lungs, this makes your brain pound for pound the second most water dominant organ in your body. It's also, here's something crazy if you think about it, the only organ that is completely enclosed in protective bone, your skull, right? So you literally have a helmet in the form of a cranium that keeps your brain protected. So why are we not doing all that we can to protect it through our lifestyle and the food that we eat? Okay, it was obviously designed that way, okay, for a reason, okay? So as we know that the brain is mostly made up of water, it's absolutely important because it assists in delivering oxygen to your brain. And it's a powerful solvent that's a carrier of so many nutrients, okay? And not just any water, just like anywhere else in the body, like it's delicate balance and it needs to be maintained. That's why it's like, don't go drink water out of the garden hose all the time, right? Type thing, because it's got a happy balance between like the water and the electrolytes. So we've all heard of electrolytes, right? Everyone's like, get your electrolytes in after you work out, right? They're minerals that carry an electric charge, and the brain is critically dependent on those nutrients, okay? And because they send electric signals to our brain cells. For example, you've got sodium, and I know this one really well from having Addison's disease. This electrolyte, it helps maintain proper water balance, okay, in your body, in your brain, okay? And there's a study that was done by, what was it? I think it was, don't hold me to this right now, but McGrath, something like that, university, that found sodium actually functions as an on-off switch, right? Binary, 0, 1, right, in the brain for specific neurotransmitters that support optimal function and protect the brain against diseases such as like epilepsy and Alzheimer's. Crazy, huh? Then you also have magnesium. Now, I think I've said this before in other coffee chats or in other posts that magnesium, we're all pretty deficient in it. Okay, but here's the thing is magnesium is able to restore critical brain plasticity and improve cognitive function. In simpler terms, plasticity means that our brain is able to change. It's not fixed. So many people are like, oh my gosh, after X amount of years, what's in your head is in your head. You can't learn anymore. You can't change it. No, your brain can actually become better. Okay, and that's a big part of the equation. So what you give your brain to eat and drink makes all the difference and can continue to make the difference until the day you die. Okay, so we have sodium, we have magnesium, and we need water to transport those things to our brain in order to give it the right nutrients and oxygen, all that stuff. Okay, so here's a cool little fact. You guys know I'm all about facts, right? And data and research and stuff like that, matched with beautiful creator that has given us all that ability. But this was a recent study cited in Medicine and Science and Sports Nutrition Exercise Journal that just a 2% drop in your body's baseline hydration level can lead to impairment in tasks that require like attention, motor coordination, driving, executive function. So if your brain is thirsty, you're going to have brain fog. Okay. And I know it's like Captain Obvious, like drink more water. We don't all want to go sitting on the toilet all day, right? We're in the bathroom. But here's the thing is most of us don't realize that insufficient hydration is the number one trigger of daytime fatigue. Now let that soak in. I mean, come on. How many of you are overwhelmed by fatigue? I know it's the last thing that I actually want when I'm tired. I'm like, the first thing I want is coffee, right? I want coffee. The last thing I'm going to reach for is 10 of these all day, right? But here's the thing too, is mild dehydration has a significant negative impact on fatigue, mood, and mental work. I mean, the best supplements in the world cannot outmatch the power of just drinking water. Okay, so seriously, chug up. Okay, make sure you're drinking a lot of water throughout every day, even if you're so super tired. Drink the water, drink. Just don't drink it like an hour or two before bedtime, because then you'll be waking up a lot, and then just totally beats the purpose of sleep, okay? So water is the first thing that we need for mental performance. I know we're talking about eating for mental performance, but I can't move into nutrition and what's on the end of our fork without talking about water, because again, you can eat all the foods you want and not have water and still have terrible performance. Okay, so water is the first thing that our brain needs. The second thing that our brain needs is fat. Okay, there's many different types of fat. We all hear about trans fat, saturated fats, total fat, because it's what's on the end of the label, like on the seaweed one, like right? That's what's on the label, right? So our brain cells, neurons, they're actually wrapped in fat, structural fat, which provides basically like technical support, kind of like the Geek Squad at Best Buy, right? For our entire system, okay? So the most important structural fat, because there's multiple ones of those, is omega-3 fatty acid called DHA. I won't tell you what that stands for. Too complicated. We're about simple here. So some excellent sources of the DHA include wild-caught salmon, not farm-raised, herring, and sardines. I know some of those seem gross to you guys. Okay, I was not a fan of sardines for a while. But I'm telling you, they're so incredibly important. And you can't just take a DHA supplement and be like, I'm good, I'm feeding my brain. No, it's what's on the end of your fork, okay? You can supplement with them because you can't get everything that your body needs from food, unfortunately. But you're gonna have to figure out some creative ways to get things like salmon and sardines into your diet, okay? And if you need that examples of that, I have a ton of recipes that I've made less fishy tasting that my kids all under the age of 6 like, okay? They literally ask for, like the other night, side note here, they actually asked for salmon. Now I made 12 fillets of salmon. I was hoping we'd have something left the next day. I was able to save 1 fillet because my son wanted salmon for his lunch, but they ate all of it. I didn't even get a fillet. I was so upset I had to go grab a can of sardines actually. They love it. And it's simple and it wasn't fishy tasting, anything like that. I don't douse it in sauces, but I use a lot of spices to help that, okay? And here's the thing too with DHA. It pairs with EPA, and they're both really important for the structural integrity of the brain. There's been some MRI studies that have revealed when people consume the lowest amounts of EPA and DHA in their diet, they actually had brain shrinkage, like accelerated brain shrinkage. Okay, on the other hand, when they consumed at least 6 grams of more of DHA, they actually shrink-proofed their brain. Crazy, right? It's amazing. I love it. So how much fish should you have, right? Or how much DHA should you have? I always say aim for like the Mediterranean diet, or like 2 to 3 servings a week. But if you can only handle 1 serving a week, make sure you add in a good quality DHA, EPA supplements. If you have questions about that, a lot of them add fillers, like the cheaper ones add fillers in them, and it doesn't do your brain good. So let me know. I have a couple of brands that I recommend. I'm not partnered with, but that I recommend that you can definitely take and you can get on Amazon easily. Another set of food groups that you can do as well, if you're not like a vegan or vegetarian, you can do grass-fed beef. I mean grass-fed, okay? Pastured egg yolks, okay? And then there's other types of fish, wild caught like mackerel and trout. Those are all viable sources of omega-3s, okay? Now, the next category of fat is actually close to my heart, as I was lacking in this the past couple of years and didn't know why. I couldn't think straight and was like, kind of scattered all over the place. Didn't matter what time of month it was, all those things. And that type of invaluable structural fat is called phospholipid. And that actually gives your brain cells shape and strength and elasticity, okay? They're made almost entirely out of omega-3s, okay? But you can also get them from certain foods like crab meat, not the imitation, by the way, krill, milk, oats, and sunflower seeds. Now I can't have half of those. Even though like egg yolks, those are things at the top of the list, which is why I rely on like sardines and salmon. But if you can have eggs, definitely do the egg yolks for sure. But if you're in the autoimmune community, that's typically something that we can't have or we're highly intolerant to, okay? So one of the most interesting things about phospholipids is their contribution to cellular communication. So hold on your horses with this one, especially those of you with thyroid issues. Listen up, like Hashimoto's and stuff. They actually play a very crucial role in regulating receptor sites for all important thyroid hormones. Help to regulate metabolism and cognition. So you're like, I can't lose weight. Oh my gosh, like my thyroid's off, I have brain issues, blah, 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 all over the place. You probably have a phospholipid issue. Okay, I know I did. We had to go through a whole gene test. And if you're not familiar with it, let me know. I'll be happy to direct you to that. But there's a direct correlation between your thyroid hormone and mental performance. Okay, it's another amazing connection in the body that reaffirms that doing good things for one area like metabolism, is probably good for other things like your brain. Okay. There's actually some data that was published, here we go, data again, right? In the Journal of Hormones and Behavior, stating that thyroid hormones influence the brain's processing, efficiency, and executive functions and overall learning behavior. But as important as thyroid hormone is, it really can't do its job properly without the phospholipids feeding it. That's where we found like my thyroid issue, like why are my antibodies so high? We're eating all the right things, blah, blah, blah. What we found is my body was struggling to produce the phospholipids. So I actually have to take a supplement for that. And we're fueling it in different ways and reducing stress in other areas. It's huge to be able to figure out. And another amazing feature regarding stress here is that the phospholipids support mental performance under stress, right? So we know with autoimmune conditions that when you're under stress, you're going to have a flare-up, right? And 95% of all autoimmune conditions are either caused by or exacerbated by stress, okay? And I know none of us like our flare-ups, by the way. We don't like them. Anyway, so let me take a moment here. This is a coffee chat, so I'm going to grab some coffee here. I hope you do too. Coffee, green tea, whatever is your cup of tea or cup of drink of choice here. But I know this can be a lot of information for some of you, almost boring. Like if I sat here and talked to my husband about this, he'd be like, boring, Vennessa, right? But I'm telling you, once you're educated on the stuff that you can be empowered to make changes on your own, and if you can't do it on your own, that's what I'm here for, you're going to have a transformation like none other, okay? I actually just posted transformation photos a few days ago and stated how we need community and support to get us through a change, right? Even if we do have the education, a lot of you out there are so incredibly intelligent and informed in all of this stuff, but you're like, I still have brain fog. I still can't do this, because we need community. So don't be afraid to reach out for help. Don't be afraid to reach out for accountability, okay? Schedule a free call with me. The link's in my bio on all the platforms, and I'll put it in the comments too, okay? So another big thing that I do want to talk about now in terms of healthy brain performance is something that's called neuroinflammation, which is basically just inflammation in the brain, okay? We all know about inflammation. Like I said in my posts, I posted about transformation and inflammation. My face was all puffy. There was inflammation in my body, but we don't think about inflammation in the brain. So acute inflammation in the brain can cause everything from disorientation to nausea to loss of consciousness. Oh, excuse me. And chronic inflammation in the brain is heavily tied to memory loss. I don't know about you guys, I kind of want to keep my memory, right? And conditions like Alzheimer's and dementia. I would love to go back, and both my grandfathers, they worked in metal fabricating industries. And one was an auto mechanic, and the other one manufactured and assembled surgical eye instruments out of a lot of steels and different things like that. But they both had the Alzheimer's, and I would love to look back and see that correlation and the type of inflammation that was going on in their bodies. One of them was overweight and one of them was really thin. So, but there's so many fluids and nutrients that support the reduction of inflammation in the brain that they're just truly invaluable, to be honest with you. So I want to go over a few things here, okay? I want to go over a few. Let me get my phone here for some notes here too, because I was like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure I have some notes here. Is that there's many different foods that actually fuel our brain too, right? So we have the water, right? We have the phospholipids as the fats. There's also another like kind of fat here too, extra virgin olive oil, or if you're in like the big foodie community, EVOO. Yeah. Okay. But it's actually found to prevent age-related conditions. So age-related deletion of mitochondria DNA in the brain. I know that's fancy again. But it also supports the brain in a multitude of ways. Like how much are you supposed to have actually? There was another, the Rush Institute of Healthy Aging. They actually found that people consumed at least 24 grams of that fat. And the ones who did, 80% reduction in Alzheimer's. Holy cow. Like I said, I would love to go back and like really review like my grandfather's diets and be like, what did they really have? I mean, I also only saw glimpses of it, but like, how cool is that? I mean, what does that translate to the grams? That's like 2 to 3 tablespoons a day. So like, add that to your salads, add that to dishes. Just remember, please don't cook with it. Like, don't saute vegetables in it, because if you do cook with it, it actually produces toxins. So use something like avocado oil or ghee or something like that to cook with. But to dress things up, add flavor, slap that stuff on, okay? So now, okay, those are some good fats that your brain needs, right? You got water, you got the good solid fats. This is gonna blow your mind, okay? So in society, we actually talk a lot about hygiene, especially this last year, right? I won't say the word, but you know what I'm talking about, okay? There are practices, right? We have practices of cleanliness to maintain health, prevent disease, and generally just to get rid of that, ooh, that stank, right? Right. If like, for example, if you consistently smell like you rubbed a stick of onion underneath your armpits, people are going to see poor hygiene, right? Or if your teeth are so yellow that when you smile, traffic slows down, right? People are going to say you have poor, gentle hygiene, okay? I mean, even though we've all been there and had some weird stuff on our teeth here and there, I think I have some seaweed stuck in mine now. It's how we address these things on a very consistent basis that tells the tale of like our hygiene, okay? So generally, again, we look at and we use the look and smell of things to establish cleanliness, right? When we walk into a room, like, oh, it smells clean, or ooh, that smells dirty, right? And guess what? You in the looks of it, right? I can even look in the room right now and be like, oh, this room is clean or dirty, right? But here's the thing: is your brain requires that same level of hygiene, but you can't typically sniff your brain or look at your brain on a regular basis, right? So what do you got to do? So I'm going to give you a list of foods that are actually proven to support brain hygiene and boost that mental performance. So these are just a handful of them, okay, outside of the things that we water, right, and the fats. So turmeric, okay. A lot of Indian dishes support that. I put it in a lot of my dressings, in bone broth, things like that. Walnuts and cinnamon. Okay, those are really good things to add for your brain. But a big part of improving mental performance is also not just putting those into our body, but also taking out the things or avoiding the things that are bringing harm. And I know you guys are like, Vennessa, here we go. They're obvious, but many of us are unaware that some of the foods that we do eat can actually like give our brains this like basically a path to catastrophe, okay? You already know that your brain is the most energy demanding organ. I'm telling you, right? We use it for everything, okay? And then glucose is our primary fuel source for our brain. And sugar is always funneling in and out. Now, everyone thinks glucose, oh my gosh, sugar, it's your primary source, so should I be eating a lot of sugar? No. Okay, sugar is funneling in and out. Insulin activity in the central nervous system has become a huge topic of discussion, okay, over the last, 5-10 years in the field of science, okay? It's critical to understand that the findings of research in the endocrinology field, they have actually stated that excessive sugar intake, and we know this, and I know everyone tells us sugar's bad, sugar. Yeah, we all sit there and do it, okay? We do it. It's addictive. It's more addictive than cocaine, we've heard, right? Okay, but it's critical that because excessive sugar intake and insulin resistance is so connected to Alzheimer's disease. And you know what they're calling it now? I actually was studying this in my functional medicine nutrition degree. Is they're calling it type 3 diabetes. Overconsumption of sugar, guys, is so devastating to your brain and your gut, and we know those are connected, right? It's terrible. And we don't just have a sweet tooth in our society, right? We literally have a like full-out grill of sweet teeth, right? Just not one sweet tooth. We have full-out grill, okay? And like I said, I'm right there in the mix with you. I don't know when you're watching this, but last week was my birthday. So I had some cake. Yes, it was grain-free, gluten-free, egg-free, you name it. Still had some sugar in it. Okay, I might be adding some extra honey to my tea, like when I have a sore throat or something like that, right? So we all do it. Okay, maybe having an extra few pieces of chocolate or bars or whatever it may be, right? We do it, okay? I'm not here to say that, I'm perfect in any way, shape, or form, okay? But there's the estimates, they're really difficult to calculate, and that's hard for me to conceptualize sometimes because I'm like a 1 + 2 = 3 always. But the estimates, because the variance of, you got natural sugars, and you've got added sugars, and you've got concentrated forms of sugar like fruit juices, but it's clear we're really surpassing the recommended dietary guidelines of, listen to this, 30 grams per day. Now let me break that down of what 30 grams per day looks like, okay? One medium-sized banana, right, 7 inches long, contains 14 grams of sugar, natural, right? That's half of what we should be having for the entire day. And there's sugar in everything, guys, okay? Now let's say you have a sweet potato. Put a little cinnamon on it, right? Vennessa said it was a brain, a brain-inducing supplement, right? That's 6 grams of sugar for a small little sweet potato, okay? Again, natural sugars. Now let's say you have, say it was my birthday, right? And I was like, okay, I'm doing good, right? I had a banana, I had sweet potato, threw in some protein, whatever, right? And then I just had a small slice of, gluten-free cake, box made. I don't have time to make the others, do anything super fancy, right? It's supposed to be healthy, right? That's another 17 grams of sugar. And that doesn't include frosting. That doesn't include, maybe you have a shot of creamer in your coffee because it's your birthday, right? I mean, look at that. That doesn't include, let's say, an afternoon piece of fruit, grapes, apple, whatever, even blueberries, right? Okay. Now, we don't want to break up with sugar. Okay. It's Dr. Robert Lustig, one of my favorite guys to follow, because he's a world expert, like a leading authority, I'll say too, on sugar consumption and how it affects the brain, like cognitive function. And he actually says that we are biologically programmed to like sweets. I'm like, yes, we are, right? But in nature, that sweet taste, what that is, it's an indicator, like God gave us fruit for a reason, right? It's an indicator of dense nutrition, right? Okay, but food manufacturers have overdone it. They've manipulated the biological programming, right? And that's not good. Now you have Mr. Sean Stevenson, right? He's a nutritionist and #1 ranked podcast host, states that drinking 1 bottle of typical soda, let's say you even treat yourself to something, right? That's 15 to 20 teaspoons of sugar, which what it does is it stresses your microbiome, right, in your gut. It overburdens your liver, okay, and aggressively, he says, ransacks your brain. And I couldn't agree more. And to top it off, it's highly addictive. We all know you can't just have 1 Skittle and walk away and be like, I'm good. No, you can't. You can't just have like 1 little piece of chocolate and be like, I'm good, right? None of us can. Okay, it takes a lot of willpower. So as I know, many of us in the autoimmune community, we know if we eat too much sugar, like on my my panels and stuff, my food sensitivities and tolerance tests, I'm not supposed to have sugar. I can have some stevia, but that's it. I can't have sugar. I can't have sugar and fruit together. How crazy is that? Bye. That rhymed. Okay, cool. But we end up getting brain fog. We get sick to our stomach. And we wonder why it happened. We're like, why am I so sick? Why did I have a flare up? Why am I like achy all over the place? Guys, I've done it too. Way too many times to count. I'm probably gonna do it 100 times more in the next year, probably in the next rest of this year, right? That's why I always recommend having a plan for your foods. Okay, set yourself up for success. Meal prepping, okay? It's so important because when you have kids, when you have a job, when you have maybe a spouse who has a disability and needs help, when you have a community that you're supporting, they all need you to be performing in your top condition most days, right? I follow the 80-20 rule, okay? And it's hard to do that when you've got brain fog, when your brain's not at its top mental performance capacity, right? When you're sick to your stomach because you weren't delivering the nutrients that your brain needs, one of them being maybe you're overloading it with sugar. Okay, now I'm not sitting here, I'm not about tracking every gram and things like that. Don't get me wrong. Okay, but I'm saying be mindful. Take a look at, that's why I'm big on food trackers. If you want mine, let me know. Like write down, hey, this is what I had for breakfast, my snack, lunch, dinner. This is what I had for how much water I had. This is how much coffee I had with creamer. Be honest with yourself, okay? Be honest. Okay, because you're only hurting yourself if you're not, okay? So I do want to share with you too, some more food and beverages that are going to support the health of your brain cells and perform in so many areas of your life better, okay? So again, more coffee for me. And y'all, I've been sucking on the same coffee for 2 days. So don't harp on me. I don't want to be getting comments and messages saying, you have a venti coffee from Starbucks. It's 2 days old, y'all. Okay. I don't drink a lot of it anymore. Okay. Not because I can't, but just because I just don't want to anymore. I don't have a taste much for it. But when I do, I do. Okay. So the first one is spinach. Something you can add to eggs, right? If you can tolerate them, smoothies. It's one of the easiest greens, by the way, to blend up in smoothies, and you can't taste it. It almost has no taste. Salads, right? Mix it in with your romaine lettuce. Actually, please don't use romaine lettuce. You can put it in soups, stews. I do it all the time, right? You can just do a whole little saute, with a bunch of different vegetables. Okay. First one, spinach. You got garlic. Now, me being Italian, it's one of my favorites. It's what I grew up with. Pretty much everything other than our breakfast oatmeal had garlic in it, okay? It improves memory, learning speed, even when your brain, this is a cool part too, even when your brain cells are damaged from toxic exposure. So chop it up, add it to whatever you want, eggs again, stews. I put it in bone broth too. I add it to, my favorite is my healthy belly bowls. Oh my gosh. You probably, if you're following me on Instagram, you probably see those pictures, probably tired of them being posted almost every day. Next one is blackberries. So blueberries usually get the crown, right? They're like, they get the red carpet, right? But blackberries, they actually have polyphenols in them. Polyphenols actually have the potential to slow down and even reverse aging, okay? And if you want some backup on that, I got a few doctors that I can refer you to in the functional medicine field that will fully support that. Now, here's my favorite, chocolate, especially dark chocolate. Now I'm talking like 80% and higher, okay? Especially the time of month. Eating as little as 1/3 of an ounce of high quality dark chocolate, like I said, 80% and higher, actually can protect your brain against memory loss. So you can add like a tablespoon of cacao nibs, and I say cacao, not cocoa, cacao, because it's the closest form to chocolate's original form, okay? To your yogurt, to oatmeal, to a smoothie, give it a little crunchy taste, right? And we all know this too. Again, these are things that we know, guys. I just want to keep repeating them to you because it's so incredibly important to our health. But actually, chocolate, it has positive effects on your mood, right? It improves, and you want to know why? Because it improves blood flow to your brain. I won't go into the data on that, the research on that, but it's true. Now, if you're a coffee drinker, like myself, this can be a hard one. But the next one is green tea. It is one of the healthiest beverages and has been for hundreds of years, and it improves mental focus. The caffeine in the green tea has been found to improve reaction time, increase attentiveness, reduce mental fatigue, also known as brain fog. And in addition, it's also an excellent source of antioxidants, which we've heard over and over, like green tea and blueberries, right? But it also has a special amino acid that increases the activity of the neurotransmitter GABA, which helps reduce anxiety and makes you feel more centered and relaxed. And so many of us need that these days, okay? So many of us, especially those of you who perhaps have been diagnosed, a small majority have been diagnosed with ADHD, or the many more who have been diagnosed with anxiety, guys. So green tea, have a cup in the morning, do not add sugar. Just green tea. My favorites, we actually just got one. It's green tea and kombucha mixed together, and it's really good. It gives a nice, like, fruity kind of taste to it, which is really interesting. No fruit in there. Next one is lion's mane. Now, I know this sounds weird. No, I'm not going to ask you to go get a lion and cut its mane off. No, it's actually been one of our household personal favorites over the last few months. And it's a class of medicinal mushrooms that have been tracing back thousands of years. Go figure. All the things from hundreds of years ago are actually good for us. All the processed food from recent years, not good. They're coming back, y'all. Okay. The compounds actually in the lion's mane, here's the thing, are able to significantly improve active nerve growth, which is called in the medicine field NGF, in the brain. So that's essential for regulation of growth, maintenance, and survival of our brain cells. One of my favorite brands is Four Sigmatic. Again, I'm not an affiliate with them or anything like that, but they actually mix it with coffee. They usually have like little packets that you just add hot water, boom, call it a day. Or they actually have like like coffee bags that you can put in your coffee pot too. So it literally is coffee mixed with that medicinal mushroom of lion's mane. Now there's other medicinal mushrooms too, but lion's mane is rated pretty high. So you mix it with coffee, you've got improved mental performance, and you prevent cognitive decline. I'd say that's an added bonus. So maybe we should have more coffee. No. So I know we've covered so much today, guys, in terms of food and beverages and all kinds of data that's proven to support your brain health and help you eat so much better. I don't want you ever, and you guys know this if you would follow me for a while, ever to be overwhelmed by information. I'm a big information person. I love it. And I don't ever want you to be overwhelmed, okay? We're all different and we all take in information differently. But I want you to reach out and schedule a discovery call with me if you are overwhelmed or you're like, hey, Vennessa, I know these things, but I need help with my specific situation. I don't know how to do this. Like, for example, last week, I actually had a lady come to me from a Facebook group, actually. And she scheduled a call and she's like, Vennessa, I know these things. I know what I'm supposed to eat. I know I'm supposed to drink more water. I know I'm supposed to move my body. I know I'm supposed to be reducing my stress and improving my sleep and all these things. She goes, but I'm a nurse and my schedule is sporadic. And on top of it, she goes, by the end of a shift, I come home and I'm like, I'm toast. And then I have my son I need to spend time with and do all the things that, mom does. She's a single mom. And she's like, I really just need some help in creating a meal plan and shopping list for me so I can just go to the store and then take one of my days off and just plan it. Y'all, that's what I'm here for. Okay. I have all that information for you. And we talked through a few of the things that she likes and doesn't like and the foods that she's intolerant to and whatnot. And we tailored it for her. Okay. For her lifestyle. Because guys, we all have a different lifestyle. We all have different needs for our body. Yes, our brains need specific things, but we all have different palates, things like that. Okay, so it's really important, okay? So I also revamped some of her favorites like pizza and spaghetti. She's highly intolerant to nightshades. So we revamped those so she could still enjoy them like everyone else, okay? Not that I'm saying that you have to be like everyone else, but I don't know about you, but I'm from Chicago and I still love my pizza. But it's hard when you have autoimmune conditions and food intolerances, right? And you need to be fueling your brain. Okay, now I'm not saying you can't have those. Like if you're going to fuel your brain, do it, like I said, 80% of the time and enjoy that fatty slice from Illuminati's, right? But you know how you're going to feel the next handful of days, right? So these are the things that I'm here for. Okay, so I want you to message me. And all you got to say is like me in the comments or me in a message. And I'll get you the link to schedule the free call with me. And I want to help you unpack what your doctor doesn't help you with, okay? So I hope you guys were able to get a little bit more clarity on how to get rid of your brain fog and really fuel your brain for that top-notch mental performance, okay? Really, really important. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Please share this with other people that you know that may need it. You never know what's going on in their life and they may need. But until then, we'll see you next week for our coffee chat. Again, Thursdays, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And every week, and if you ever want a topic that really you want spoken on, just let me know. Bye.